Welcome to NC Political Tea, the show where North Carolina's political scene gets served piping hot, grassroots style. We're here to shake up the status quo with unapologetically conservative takes and a whole lot of Southern charm. From the halls of Congress to under the dome, we're exposing the deals, the drama, and the dirt that the mainstream media won't touch. Who's fighting for your freedom? Who's selling out to the woke mob? And who's about to get roasted? No fluff, no filters, and absolutely no time for spineless politics. Just bold Republican commentary, sharp analysis, and enough sass to make the left squirm. So grab your sweet tea or something stronger, and let's dive into the hottest headlines and juiciest scandals rocking the Tar Heel state. This is NC Political Tea, where the truth always gets served.
Speaking out against a new bill that was filed Friday.
This bill says if you are a Black person, we don't give a damn about you. If you are Hispanic, we don't give a damn about you. If you are gay or a woman or a Pacific Islander or a Native American or anybody other than a middle-aged white male, really, we don't really care about you.
Okay, guys, hello and welcome to NC Political Tea. Margot will be with us shortly. That is Deb Butler. She is a far-left wacko here in North Carolina, but she's a longtime far-left wacko. She's talking about the big push from our General Assembly, both on the Senate side and the House side, to eradicate DEI out of government, all stages of government, and our public universities. Margot, what do you think about this? Did you have a chance to take a look at this bill?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
You did not have a chance to look at the bill. Well, let me put up some tenets on it. I mean, it just kind of mirrors the Trump push.
Oh, the DEI bill.
Yeah, the DEI, the anti-DEI bill. So the people on this bill, actually, I'm very impressed because it's leadership. So Margot's been reviewing these bills. I think they put out literally since we've been at CPAC, maybe 100 bills for us to evaluate. Is that
insane?
Yeah. Just so you know, guys, our General Assembly here in North Carolina, they're in session Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So they pack a lot in. Like places like Texas, they have a every other year they're in session. It seems like we're in session all the time.
It feels like it. But this has been the most active. Maybe I'm more conscientious about the bills because we're really reviewing things now. But this one was most particularly interesting because I think it was it Brandon Jackson? Is that the gentleman who worked on this one specifically?
Neil Jackson actually worked on this. So Neil Jackson is a very conservative rep, one of my favorites, in fact, and he's out of the Moore County area. And it's the equality in state agencies, but actually leadership signed on. So Hall signed on to this, et cetera. So look, it actually mirrors the federal program or the EO that Trump is doing. It's just immediate termination of DEI programs. I put this on there. Check this out. State and local agencies must eliminate all DEI offices, programs, training sessions, and staff positions. Now, guess who's doing oversight?
Who?
Our good friend Dave Bolak in the office. Yeah.
Of course, because he would love to audit this. Plus, he made an example. He and Brad Brenner were the first to make examples of doing this in their particular departments.
Well, they ran on it.
Right.
They ran on it, and that's great. So we have a whole agency that's going to be, actually, Dave's going to have some work to do now. Existing DEI initiatives, cut it. With public money, must stop immediately. All hell's going to be breaking loose. You probably already know that with UNC systems. So here in North Carolina, the UNC system encompasses 17 state schools. It's not just UNC Chapel Hill. It's Charlotte, it's Greensboro, it's Asheville, it's Wilmington, it's, Appalachian State. So all hell's going to break loose. Now, penalties for violation. And let me tell you guys, this gets me excited. This is really, really
somebody
exciting.
getting fired for DEI gets you excited, Sloan.
No, we're talking about arrests.
Oh.
Yeah, I think this is wild. Okay, state employees who knowingly violate the law can be fired. That's an automatic. So if there's a, HR person or department head and they want to, sneak in a white people are bad session or men are horrible, they can be fired. But check this out. Violations are class 1 misdemeanor. That's higher than the misdemeanor I was arrested for.
Wow.
And employees or officials may face legal consequences. And civil lawsuits, this is where I like it, can be filed. So I'm taking this to mean, let's say that you're having to endure one of these horrible trainings. You as an employee can sue your employer now if they're the state.
Good. It's about time. I actually know plenty of people who aren't working in the school system anymore because that's one of the things they had to go through just to get a job as a substitute.
That's my question. Does this apply to K through 12? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if those are technically state agencies. So that's a question that I have. But believe it or not, I mean, I've got, a lot of friends who are doing city work, city managers, etc. And I think this does apply to them.
Well, if it says state and local, it does kind of make you wonder.
That's right. But look, there are states that have bills like this. There's Florida and Texas that have a bill like this. But North Carolina's bill is broader because it actually applies to local government. And it covers a wider range of public institutions. So we're going actually further for the first time than other states, other red states are. What do you think about that? Because we've talked about it a lot.
It's surprising. It's surprising that we are being that broad, considering, how many radical leftists we have in government. So we'll see how it goes and what makes it through in the cutoff, so to speak, or transition crossover.
Yeah, crossover is, I believe, the first week of May. And guys, that means that all the Senate, actually the Senate, this is a House bill. The Senate has a partner bill to this. But bills that don't have a partner, let's say it's a one-off and a House proposes a bill, we've got to wait till pass through and to cross one over. Guys, look at all these bills because there's a lot of bills, but I'm telling you, if the bills aren't passed, okay, and you say, wow, that don't ever pass, 2 things can happen. First of all, after crossover, it can make it into a PCS bill. So they can take an existing bill that's already crossed over, scoop it all out and put the contents of this bill, for instance, in there, or it may wind up in the budget.
The budget, I forgot about how many things
honey,
put in the budget.
Let me tell you something. Study these bills on both sides because there's some horrible shit that ends up in the budget every single year, mixed with some great stuff. So so it makes us look like horrible people actually complaining about the budget when it comes out because it's got some good stuff. Okay, this is nuts. The Democrats.
That's so stupid.
Listen, you're in the South when women put the in front of it. I got to go up to the Food Lion.
Yeah.
Target.
Except if you're on the West Coast, then you can put it in front of an interstate, right? The 405. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Got it. Okay, the I-40. That didn't work for me. Check out this horrible bill that actually Deb Butler has her name on there. They want to prevent any law enforcement to go to farms at all and cooperate with ICE. Okay.
Oh, don't go into those chicken packing plants or those hog plants. Not allowed to do that.
The bill basically turns farms, meat processing plants, construction sites into sanctuary areas where ICE can't operate, which means, how stupid, which means criminal enterprises could exploit these areas, harbor fugitives, traffic children.
I think it's the irony of this is it's the exact opposite of what the Republicans are putting out, which is give up sanctuary cities. You're not allowed to harbor anybody. It's just funny.
Yeah. And so what it does is it sets up, obviously, criminals and traffickers. They'll say, okay, we're going to hide out at construction sites, maybe even commandeer the damn place, take it over.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But if you ask Democrats, they're going to say, look, we don't want legitimate, H2 workers, H2 visa holders, which are your farm help. And North Carolina, I believe, is number 1 or 2 in having those. Number 2 behind California. We don't want interference and intimidation there. And after all, these are jobs that nobody else will do. But take a look at this. I love the way that Stephen Miller, who is basically the illegal immigration czar, explained what a fallacy this is.
That we should supply America's food with exploitative illegal alien labor. I obviously don't think that's what you're implying. Only 1% of alien workers in the entire country work in agriculture. The top destination for illegal aliens are large cities like New York, like Los Angeles, and small industrial towns, of course, all across the heartland, as we've seen with the Biden floods. None of those illegal aliens are doing farm work. Those 30,000 illegal aliens that Joe Biden dumped into Springfield.
I'm talking about the ones that
but I'm explaining this. It's important to understand.
No, you're kind of changing the subject.
Oh, God.
No.
Okay, but you get it, right?
I totally get it. I loved it when he did that to begin with. I watched it like 3 times. I was like, go, Stephen.
So what he's saying is really, I mean, this bill would be, I'm not so sure that ICE is going to really be the first, that won't be the first destination they hit up.
No, but at least they're open to going.
Right. Otherwise, you do turn it into a sanctuary where these illegals who were, by the way, they closed the Roosevelt hotel today. Let me see that. So you're looking at Venezuelan gang members who have commandeered the Roosevelt Hotel and turned it to total shit in New York City. So it prevents that bill, really, if we pass it here, and we won't, would open up these guys hiding out instead of a hotel to commandeer a construction site, or if the Democrats had it their way, a damn church or schools or hospitals. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to take our institutions and turn them into what you see here.
Well, I mean, I don't see much difference in that, excuse me, in what's going on in sanctuary cities in Greensboro and Charlotte. I mean, they're hiding them out in plain sight in apartments that are owned by specific landlords, and even in farm areas outside of Greensboro. So I think the difference is that not having that bill allows us to go get them.
Right. I mean, we need to have look, it's about law and order. This is what people voted for. Even Democrats are in favor of this. We've seen several polls in the last couple of weeks that indicate that somewhere along the lines of 70% of the American population favor this policy right here. So,
and we're going to continue to favor it, because I think people have really gotten sick of the fact, especially with all the exposure from Doge, how much money has been spent on anything but American people.
Right. I mean, and if you think about it, this also, these are American jobs that we could potentially be losing. I mean, if you've got an allotted amount of visas, but you have visa overstays or whatever, that's hurting the American worker. So that's another
part of it.
Another way to look at it. Okay, speaking of the Democrats here in North Carolina, check out this protest that happened today in Raleigh at a Tesla
dealership. What does Ukraine have to do with Tesla?
I don't know. I don't know. But these are, I mean, they're just in protest.
How embarrassing! How embarrassing!
I think so.
I mean, I really can't think of anything worse than to try to embarrass somebody at their business.
Well, to be fair, Elon wasn't there.
No, but the point is taken, and we do know that his business is plummeting. The stock value of Tesla's gone down. The number of cars being ordered has gone down. It just isn't.
Well, it happened to Trump also. Remember the hotel?
Yeah, it did.
It's it's the cost of doing business. I mean, we all have a price to pay. I hate to say it, unfortunately, but it's kind of like Sheryl Crow. I think last week
when she donated her car.
Donated her car to like Planned Parenthood. And just think of how far that money could have gone to help the people, I don't know, that had their houses burned down or living in hotels in her own state.
Or to Western North Carolina.
Oh, hell no. Oh, no, she's not going to do that. Especially because her ex, Lance Armstrong, trained for the Tour de France up in Western North Carolina with his bike. So it probably, I mean, he did. I'm sure she's not thinking about her ex, but yeah, she's a selfish starlet, pretty much. Yeah, liberals, white liberal. Yeah, white progressive women seem to be really striking nerves lately.
I remember, I don't know, it's been several years ago. I was at a concert where she was playing, and it was during the election season because
Oh God,
she had put a paper sticker on the back of her guitar that said "Vote for Warnock," and the entire arena in Atlanta booed her off the stage.
People need to stick to what they do best. Not literally, not even saying that she sings very well.
Right.
Yeah, just my opinion. Okay, so that's what the Democrats are trying to do. In other words, you made a good point. They're trying everything that the Republicans are going to do. They're going to resist. So now here's what Phil Berger put out. Phil Berger is probably the most powerful politician in North Carolina, Republican, and actually he has a challenger who's already announced, and that would be Sam Page, who's a sheriff. Look, the sheriff, current sheriff of Rockingham County, is a strong border guy. So
yeah, he's a law enforcement officer for many years. I think he's had that job for over 20 years, and he's also been in the military. So he's a true competitive foe to Phil Berger and the Berger clan, because basically they own Rockingham County.
So are we surprised that he put this out? Right. So it has a lot of no, really. So, I mean, it has a lot of the things that you're supposed to be doing. State and local law enforcement cooperation with ICE. I think they've already voted on that. Prevent state funds from benefiting unauthorized immigrants. Auditing public benefits programs. Let me just weigh in on this. First of all, the auditing of the public benefits. Who said they were going to do that and ran on it?
Dave Bullock.
Thank you.
Yeah, and he's doing it. He's actually working on it right now.
So that looks like, let's say, particular schools and particular districts. What we want to know, the research question in that instance, is how much money in these districts that are already strained and stressed is being spent for additional foreign language, ESL, or just collectively on students. That's going to be very illuminating.
I think a lot of school districts would be super surprised to see, a couple $500,000 spent on language assistance and some of the different things they have to do just to get these kids upright in school, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really good. I like to know, by the way, I know that you're not allowed to do it, but how many are on Medicaid?
Oh, how many of their parents are on Medicaid and are, on some type of food assistance, for that matter?
Again, not allowed. Not allowed doesn't mean it's not happening, especially here in North Carolina. We haven't had real oversight here. I can't remember a time where we did. Can you?
No, but I think we have 1 month until the audits really start. Actually, I think Dave said that
Dave's excited. Right. Yeah, Dave Bullock's excited. So hold cities and counties accountable by waiving their legal immunity if they violate state laws prohibiting sanctuary cities. Now, this is good because, let's say, God forbid, a car runs into my car here and an illegal's driving it, and he's already been apprehended once for shoplifting, and he's still here, then I can sue Wake County because I damn sure can't sue the illegal because they don't have any money.
Right. Or the lack of insurance, which we've seen quite a lot of lately.
Well, that would give you what's called a private right of action. The thing I love about these laws, I will say this coming out from Republicans, is they have teeth. They have an illegal component or a criminal component and what's called a private right of action. That means in this instance, qualified immunity is stripped, right? So I would be able to sue a police department and others, which is great.
The thought of you suing a police department makes me laugh. I'm sorry.
I mean, so that's one thing. So they've got both, and that means that the oversight goes to who? The people, private right of action, right? And the DA. So I've got a leftist DA here. I could do the private right of action. That's what I love, because we haven't seen teeth in these bills since I've been covering North Carolina politics for the last 4 years. No teeth. Now we do.
It's not just, you can also, like, the courts can be held responsible because they keep letting people go.
Yeah. Yep. I know, Julia. We voted for, yep, everything that you just said. This is what we voted for. I do like this bill. Most of all, like the accountability. Prevents UNC systems from adopting sanctuary policies. First of all, I come a cold day in hell, I think, would they be able to get away with that? That would be interesting, because the overseers are Republicans, so I don't think that would happen. But I will say that there's been a lot of saber rattling from UNC Chapel Hill about not cooperating with ICE.
I've seen that too. Not so much from other schools. I think UNC Asheville did, but really you see a lot of them Chapel Hill. A lot.
There's a lot of rot we're going to clean out from Chapel Hill. As you may know, that they have a couple of programs at UNC Chapel Hill, and it is a major feeder school into the State Department.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they've got to show up and show out a lot of those people. Now, right now, as we speak, I think right now, Congress is voting to fund ICE. I mean, they've got to, this isn't the actual hearing, but they've got to continue funding ICE. And it's going to be, I think that's going to be tough. Are you hearing anything about that?
Haven't heard anything about this specifically. Really been focused on just getting the budget in a position where it's looking favorable. Even a lot of the Republican House members are just like, the budget is not really ready to go.
No, it's going to be a battle royale. But getting back to the state bill, the good thing about this is we already know that many serious violent criminals and child molesters who are illegals are let out. In places like where I am in Wake County, Mecklenburg County, Guilford County. So I think that's going to curtail that. Criminal aliens that are, convicted, they're not going to be shielded by any sanctuary policies, any that are unwritten or written. I think that's going to be great.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I can't either. But again, I mean, we'll have to see, how, if it passes, if we're going to end up seeing in the budget or what. Now,
this is the best.
Let's file this under dumb shit the Democrats do. This is, but to be fair, I will say this about this Crown Act. Bear in mind, similar laws have passed in California, New York, Virginia, and over 20 other states. But this bill is a humdinger. It literally defines race to include hair traits associated with race. It spans the legal definition of race to include hair texture and protective hairstyles and braids. So I guess I could be a Black woman and my hair is froish and typically hard textured, which they describe in the bill. So do I get to appropriate myself as a Black woman?
No one's going to be able to stop you. No one can question your ethnicity or your race. That's illegal.
Oh, okay. How does it? So an employer.
Think about that. If an HR department says you don't look Black, did you know that that's illegal?
No.
They cannot question. They are not allowed to question your race.
So I come in and I wear braids or I have this hair, and then I identify as Black, I would get extra protections, presumably. But then there's the DEI bill that would cancel it out. And how would that work?
But my question is, what extra protection do you get? You get messy hair day?
Well, you can't be fired because you want to wear braids to work.
Okay. But you and I wouldn't be fired if we wore braids to work either.
Well, I think, what the thesis is that everyone's racist. So that's the presupposition.
Oh, there we go. That's the bottom line. Okay, gotcha.
The presupposition is everyone's a racist, and Black people are going to get fired for hairstyles, etc. And that's not right.
How presumptive.
Well, I mean, the Democrats have a very dim view of humanity, I have to say.
But let me ask you a question. If you're a lousy worker and you have braids, we just let you go because you have braids in your hair? You see what I mean?
I actually don't
Can
know.
you hide behind that?
Well, the thing is that I'm white or I'm Jewish, but I would be able to hide. Actually, I'd like to do that. I'd like to hide behind that and be treated better.
See what I mean? It's kind of outlandish if you really logically try to put it to the test. I don't show up for work. I'm not going to do my activities of the 5 things I did last week, but because I have braided hair, you can't fire me.
I don't know. The more we're talking about it, the more I kind of want to see it pass.
That's funny.
I mean, am I wrong?
No, I mean, I just think it's funny that you can use that one thing as your ace in the hole or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I've never had my hair, be a big thing, but I guess it would be. Something else I wanted to bring up in conjunction with all of this ICE stuff. I wanted to make everybody aware that now what they're doing, the left, again, Democrats, they're actually doxing ICE workers, and they're putting, signs up right now on poles, et cetera, and they're doing these kind of things, and like taking a government worker and putting his, family's name up, et cetera. And so this is the links that Democrats are going to. For what ends? What's the end game here?
I honestly think they just want to be malicious. I can't figure it out. To me, like, although let's be fair, if you're not used to being doxxed and you get doxxed the first time, you know how it feels, Sloan. It's kind of it's alarming. And
but I'm a public figure, and they're not.
Right. But some people aren't public figures. We see it happen every day on X. They get doxxed, and it's very alarming for someone to start putting out your name and your address and
your children.
Pictures. Yeah, and your children.
Yeah, well, especially because ICE they're apprehending gang members. So they're giving gang members the name and address of your home, your children's school, your parents' home. I mean, this is dangerous,
super dangerous,
deeply dangerous stuff that's going on here. So, I'm kind of being jocular about these bills and these things, but there's a deeply persistent and resistant side of the Democrats, and I don't know how we're going to break it.
What's so ironic is they're the ones that say they're all about openness, kindness, coexist, all that crap. That's all crap.
Yeah. Well, we know that. We know that because they condone BLM riots. They condone, Antifa. They condone all this stuff. So I kind of think the public is, I think the jig is up, but I'm disappointed and not surprised to see all this stuff. So anyway, so that's kind of another silly bill. We went over the Border Protection Act, the Save Teacher License Reciprocity Act. I like this, Margot, because I've heard so many good people, good teachers move to North Carolina, and they have to wait up to 2 years because of the backlog to be able to teach.
Well, as long as they can pass a background check, I mean, I don't understand why they would have to wait so long. I guess I never understood that there was a waiting period that took that long.
There is. And I believe it's disorganization up at the Department of Public Instruction, which, guys, here, that's our Department of Education. But it makes sure, as long as you, like, if I'm coming from South Carolina, I hold another license, I have 3 years of teaching experience and good standing. That's great. And I have to tell you, you don't have to have a background check here in North Carolina.
Really?
Do you know that we are one of the few states that does not require teachers to have a background check, and it's incumbent upon each district to do it? They can or not.
So that is just really scary if you think about it, especially if someone's coming from an out-of-state school system where they possibly could be been fired, but there's a chance they'll get hired and no one will know.
To be clear, you check for that. But let's say somebody came from South Carolina and there was a year hiatus right between employment. And I don't know, they did something with a child or have charges pending. I'm not saying that districts don't do it, but I am saying it's optional. And John Torbett, who sits on the education committee and sat on that committee forever, he has twice in the last 4 years brought up a bill to make it mandatory.
I do find that very ironic that You could wait 2 years to get to work in North Carolina from another state, but you literally, from where I can live, can drive 14 miles over the line, quit your job here in North Carolina, and go work the next day in Georgia and as a teacher, and make more money too.
Right. Well, there's another bill that just came out that it offers a $50 raise. I think a $50 raise per week for teachers, and then it restores master's pay.
I honestly think that they should get master's pay.
Yeah, I'm sort of on the fence about it because a lot of, what if you master's in what? Because I mean, until recently, you could get a master's in, ethnic hair studies. I'm not joking. Like,
Well,
what would a master's be in?
Here's the thing. There are specific gates you have to meet in order to be a principal, an assistant principal. That you honestly can't be a superintendent without a PhD. We know that's a joke. Let's be honest. Some of these PhDs are jokes. So if you're going to make them go through the hurdles to have a PhD just to be a superintendent, then give them the incentive to go to get a master's. I don't care. I don't care.
Well, both this bill and the teacher compact bill, those two things are on the table to get around our teacher shortage. Now, we've got a huge teacher shortage. I mean, we're not alone. Every state has a massive teacher shortage.
The difference is we have an awful lot of veterans that have degrees.
We do. And I would say I'm in favor of somebody with a 4-year degree being able to teach.
Agreed.
There are a lot of retirees, a lot of, as you said, veterans who are, I'm going to say something at the risk of sounding rude, but I want to be truthful. The teaching degree is one of the easiest degrees you can get. It's super easy. And you're finding a lot of people who cannot do math, a lot of teachers who cannot do basic math who graduate. That's a problem.
A huge problem.
So wouldn't it be better to have somebody that had a 4-year degree in math or engineering or something like that to teach these classes?
Or in something that requires math on a daily basis, like a technical degree. You have to understand the sorting of IP addresses by the numeric scale. You have to be able to do multiplication, division, subtraction, and addition.
All that leaves me out. So I could never teach. But what
Come on, you can count macros.
I can count macros of food and the amount of protein I need. And nobody knows that better than Margot because I drove her absolutely insane at CPAC because I had to get my macros in, man.
I just think it's really agonizing to watch someone who is really trying to stay on something like that have to continually think consciously about everything they put in their mouth because of that. But once again, that's no different than trying to teach kids. You have to constantly.
I wasn't the only one doing
it. Absolutely. There were 100 people doing it. Absolutely. It was a big deal.
People doing it. Yeah, we were all having this exchange about what foods had the best macros. But anyway, good. Well, I'm glad that could allow me
Pizza
to
didn't make the list.
But yeah.
Pizza didn't make the list.
You know, didn't make the list. That big ass bag of gummy bears you bought. That never made the list, but it didn't stop you from buying them and forcing me to eat them. Thank you for that.
That's funny.
This is John Bell is very excited about this bill, and it sounds interesting. I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about. So it's called the Reducing Barriers to State Employment. So again, it's hard to find state employees. You got it. So it's going to emphasize practical experience, military service, apprenticeships, and trade school as educational alternatives for a 4-year degree when applicable. What do you think?
I love this. Florida's doing this.
Yeah. Here are my concerns, or here are my questions, okay? Could it lower job standards in some roles?
Sloan, here's the thing the question that you're asking that bothers me. Until probably the 90s, I would say there were not degree qualifications for a lot of positions. In the 80s and the probably mid 90s, you didn't have to have a degree to be an accounting clerk just to do the job. Now they require you to have a degree, 2-year degree in
Which is a scam.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you can take that class in school, in high school, why shouldn't it count?
Right. No, it's a total sham. No, I get you. I believe, 4-year degrees, but, some I just worry a little bit about that.
Well, I'll give you a reason not to. If you take a position and you don't have a 4-year degree, one of the good things about working in government is that they will pay you if you have the motivation to continue to get a degree. So, and even corporations will do this, but the state government and some counties do it for sure.
Okay, well, I mean that's good. Look, we have over 12,000 state government vacancies, and particularly in the technical and trade related jobs. So it's going to make this bill will make it easier to fill those roles, and it's going to allow skilled, experienced workers with apprenticeships qualify in lieu of a 4-year degree. Military veterans, they've got a lot of experience in like logistics, security. What else? Mechanics. Languages management, but without formal degrees. That's what I'm very excited about.
Well, and I honestly would love to see us get in a partnership mode. Hey, we're going to hire you because of your military experience, because it's the equivalent of a 4-year degree, but we're also going to give you the incentive of you can use your GI Bill and we'll also reimburse you for 2 years of school or whatever.
Okay. Why didn't they consult with you before? Why didn't the bill drafters call you? Okay. So I think it's great. And so what I'm sensing in these bills too is like a problem solving bent,
a way to get somewhere and actually help the people on both sides of the equation.
Right. And sort of a can do, whether it's for teachers or the problems that we have. I'm seeing some problem solving. That's true. Hamas supporters are going to be at a deficit. You have an excellent point. So positions like, I don't know, cardiologists in Catawba County won't be filled by Hamas supporters. More on that story later, but
it's coming.
It's coming. Okay, so this bill, there's pros and cons. All right, but there's a Senate bill to this bill. There's a partner bill, so it's probably going to go. Banning cell phones. And not banning cell phones, but every school has to make a policy, an educational policy on what to do with cell phones. Thoughts?
Yeah. So I don't disagree with them having an educational policy on cell phones. I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
The way this read originally, and probably just in the short notes, was banning cell phones. And here's where I have a challenge. Why is this even making it to the state government? Why can't a county make a policy and make it stick?
It's going to require I get you. It's going to require every district. We have 115 districts here in North Carolina to come up with a policy. I get you. Here's what I think. Here's what I wonder about. As a journalist, I have been, I love when I get video of some bullshit going on in the classroom. And that comes from a cell phone. I get it all the time. Where am I going to get my videos now? How,
as a single mom, my child was probably one of the first to ever have a cell phone. She had a cell phone in 3rd grade. That's because that's what I do for a living. But it was a lifeline in the event she was sick, had an emergency, something came up. Because I don't work locally. I work in Atlanta. That's a long ways away. So for me, and I see it, that's where I see the downside is if you're a single parent or if there's extenuating circumstances, the accommodations that are going to have to be made are going to be pretty significant.
Okay. Well, the bill so far just says that, okay, and you're right. Why?
Why did it have to go to the state to do this? It just seems so dumb. This one and the other one that went with it was making a policy that they can accept cash for booster club sales. I'm like, what is going on?
That's a really big problem. I'm going to tell you, I've gone to basketball games and
But why can't a county make that policy?
You're right. Why are they trying to micromanage? Look.
Thank you.
As conservatives, we believe you never make a law that doesn't extend the liberty of a citizen. So if any law you're going to make at all, you have to ask yourself, does it extend the rights of the citizen? If it doesn't,
I just think it's a lot of micromanaging kind of BS at the state level that they could easily say, this is a county issue. Take care of it. Like, why are you up here? I'm not your babysitter. Instead, they micromanage the cat booster club.
Well, I know that's a big one, but this is to get votes, man.
I understand.
I mean, this is like, oh, I'm making sure. Okay. So this is going to identify positions. So this is good. So we're to prevent people, for not qualifying. They're going to pre-identify, a certain amount of, let's say there's 12,000 positions. Let's say you go through, okay, and in the end, 6,000 you can do without one, 6,000 you have to have, and they call it a day. I think that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So look, again, the General Assembly is very, very, very busy. They were in session till I think like 5:30 or 6 tonight. I talked to legislators today, some of the junior legislators, some of the freshmen, who have said that they're working on bills for property tax, very innovative bills for that, and they haven't come up. I know that we're bringing some people in to talk about terrorism, and the terrorism threat is real. So over the next couple of weeks, along with some GOPs, we're going to be bringing some people around to talk to sheriffs, town councils, and maybe even go to the General Assembly. So county commissioners too,
mayors.
Yeah. And talk about the big gap that's in law enforcement and policing now when it comes to, on the state level and local level, looking at terrorist threats.
Absolutely. It needs to happen. Like, who would have ever thought we'd have a doctor that's openly saying that he would do something to a Jewish patient?
Yeah. Yeah. We have a big problem.
North Carolina.
In North Carolina. And if
Western North Carolina, even.
Well, I mean, if there's one, there's more.
You're right.
So, and this has to be addressed. It's a threat to everyone in this state. So we're going to be doing a lot. That is a seminal project that we're going to be working on. So
it needs a lot of attention.
It needs a lot of attention. And I already have lawmakers who are willing to work with us. And that's something that we're really going to get onto. Because as you can see, Democrats have suicidal empathy. And Republicans have allowed that for far too long.
I agree.
Now we've got to strike while the iron is hot. We've got momentum. So in this legislative session, we really want to go a lot further with these acts to protect everyday citizens like you and me.
Totally agree.
So we're going to end early tonight, but we're not going to end before this because this was so freaking great. The AP is out of the White House press.
In Washington, D.C., denied the Associated Press's emergency request for a temporary restraining order to restore their privilege of returning to the White House press pool. And the judge's denial of the Associated Press's request reinforces what I said from the podium last week and what President Trump has been saying. Covering the American presidency in the most intimate and limited spaces in this White House, in the Oval Office, on the Air Force One, is a privilege. It is not a legal right. And we want all voices to have that opportunity. And that's why we've expanded the James S. Brady briefing room to invite truly legitimate, independent journalists
and podcasters, she said.
That's right.
So the AP is plagued with credibility problems, to say the least. In fact, some of their journalists and some of their stringers over in Gaza actually participated in October 7th while also covering it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think there should be more of this. Like, I think if you're not going to support the agenda, you don't get a seat at the table. I'm really proud of President Trump for sticking up for American people who have been gaslit for the last 4 years. It's 8 years.
Well, I would take the opposite position. I want my media to be adversarial. So I want media in there that does not agree with the agenda at all. But what I expect is journalists to maintain fidelity to our code of ethics. And they're not many, they're like 6. But truth and false light being one of them. False light. So when you're doctoring photos of war scenes or crime scenes, etc., which the AP has done repeatedly.
Or the president.
Yeah. When that is so deeply duplicitous. I think it should be criminal on some level, because we have special protections being a journalist. So if you've got those special protections, I think the penalties for bullshitting should be higher, which is what we see here.
And I agree with that. And I'm with you. I want to see good journalists. What I don't want to see is a lot of propagandists or, people that are so far out of left field making stories out of things that we know are just absolutely not true. And we've seen it. The New York Times has been notorious for doing it.
Yeah. The New York Times has been horrible. The AP has been horrible, but I love the fact that they, I can picture this now. They went and sued for their First Amendment rights. First Amendment rights, I'm finding a lot of people don't actually know what that means. But it does come from the government, but access and privilege is not a First Amendment right, which is exactly what the judge said.
Exactly.
There are different ways.
I think the greatest way is the way Trump trolled him after that when he put up on the screen the Gulf of America on the in the press room on all the monitors, which I thought was on a scale of 1 to 10, 11 on the troll.
Well, that's what they started out. I mean, if you cannot report accurately and you're going to say, screw it, I'm just going to continue reporting and sticking a stick in the eye. There's a way to write that, right? As a journalist, there's a way to write that. But just pretending like it never happened, that's a non sequitur. That's a never happened situation. And that's why they're out.
True. Well, we're not far off of a 9 o'clock in, so we did pretty good tonight.
We did pretty well. By the way, and we always try to be very truthful here. In other words, sometimes we report things very quickly and we have to correct it. I mean, I think we've done that maybe 2 or 3 times, right? But that's the goal of every journalistic outfit. And the reason why we're doing this is because we, on the conservative side, we're not seeing anything like this where we're breaking down the bills, etc. I haven't actually seen that. I think the N&O, a couple of those guys do it pretty fair, like, non-biased, but they're not actually giving us the bills that are important to us and breaking us down and telling you guys the impact of it. We're going to do that.
And I do want to give you guys one last reminder. March, from this weekend going forward, is county convention time for the GOP. Get on the NCGOP website, find out when your convention is, participate in your convention, become a delegate so that we can see you at the district and the state level. It's super important that we make changes in the GOP and that you participate, because that's how we get good candidates. And that's where I see a lot of people complaining. Don't complain if you don't participate. Get involved.
Right. Yeah. So if you want to be a state delegate, you have to go to a precinct meeting right before your county convention. Mine, if you're in Wake County, it's going to be on the same night. Please kill me.
Bring water. Understand it's going to be hot, so take layers.
My laptop. I'm going to be working. I'm, maybe reporting from there, but because I want to be able to go to the state convention and I want to have a voice in who gets to lead the party. I don't know who's running yet, but
regardless, we all want to come together in Greensboro and vote for the right things for our party and for the state. So thanks for letting me tell everybody about that, Sloan.
No, it's very important. It's absolutely critical. And so I don't know if we are going to have a calendar of those because there's 100 counties, so it's hard. But
you're on the NCGOP website. Look for event for your county. Look for events in your county, and it should be listed. All the district conventions are in there. If you don't find your county convention, let me know. I'll get it for you.
Do you happen to know when mine is? I forgot. I bet you never heard.
But I know who knows because Sandy will know.
She will. All right, I'll look it up. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for that prompt. I will get right on that. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you Thursday night. We've actually got a killer interview coming up Thursday night. I'm not telling you with who, but we're going to have one. Share this with 10 people. People need to know what's in these bills. Like I'm telling you, you're going to see this stuff. You're going to see this in a bill. You better weigh in on it.
And having the information gives you the ability to tell your legislators how you feel about it. You can email them, you can call them, but now you have the knowledge. Do what you can with it.
You can go take your ass down there if you want.
That's right. You can actually do public comment.
Guys, I'm going down there next week, so see you there. All right.
Good night,
guys. Have a good one. Bye. Whoops. Okay. And
That's a wrap on today's NC Political Tea. We hope you're leaving sharper, spicier, and ready to take on the political craziness in the Tar Heel State. If you loved what you heard, or even if it made you mad, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this show with your friends, family, and that one coworker who just needs the truth. Follow us on social media to stay in the loop and get your daily dose of conservative fire. And remember, here in North Carolina, the grassroots grows stronger when we stand together. Until next time, keep the faith, keep up the fight, and don't let the left water down your tea. This is NC Political Tea, where we spill it like it is.